1. Boosting your child's self-esteem. Kids start developing their sense of self as babies when they see themselves through their parents' eyes. Your tone of voice, your body language, and your every expression are absorbed by your kids. Your words and actions as a parent affect their developing self-esteem more than anything else. Praising accomplishments, however small, will make them feel proud. Letting kids do things independently will make them feel capable and strong. By contrast, belittling comments or comparing a child unfavorably with another will make kids feel worthless. Avoid making loaded statements or using words as weapons. Comments like "what a stupid thing to do" or "you act more like a baby than your little brother" cause damage just as physical blows do. Choose your words carefully and be compassionate. Let your kids know that everyone makes mistakes and that you still love them, even when you don't love their behavior. 2. Catch kids being good. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you react negatively to your kids in a given day? You may find yourself criticizing far more often than complimenting. How would you feel about a boss who treated you with that much negative guidance, even if it was well-intentioned? The more effective approach is to catch kids doing something right. "You made your bed without being asked, that's terrific," or "I was watching you play with your sister, and you were very patient." These statements will do more to encourage good behavior over the long run than repeated scoldings. Make a point of finding something to praise every day. Be generous with rewards. Your love, hugs, and compliments can work wonders and are often reward enough. Soon you will find you are growing more of the behavior you would like to see. 3. Set limits and be consistent with your discipline. Discipline is necessary in every household. The goal of discipline is to help kids choose acceptable behaviors and learn self-control. They may test the limits you establish for them, but they need those limits to grow into responsible adults. Establishing house rules helps kids understand your expectations and develop self-control. Some rules might include no TV until homework is done, and no hitting, name-calling, or hurtful teasing allowed. You might want to have a system in place: one warning, followed by consequences such as a timeout or loss of privileges. A common mistake parents make is failure to follow through with the consequences. You can't discipline kids for talking back one day and ignore it the next. Being consistent teaches what you expect. 4. Make time for your kids. It's often difficult for parents and kids to get together for a family meal, let alone spend quality time together. But there's probably nothing kids would like more. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning so you can eat breakfast with your child, or leave the dishes in the sink and take a walk after dinner. Kids who aren't getting the attention they want from their parents often act out or misbehave because they're sure to be noticed that way. Many parents find it's rewarding to schedule together time with their kids. Create a special night each week to be together and let your kids help decide how to spend the time. Look for other ways to connect. Put a note or something special in your kid's lunchbox. Adolescents seem to need less undivided attention from their parents than younger kids. Because there are fewer windows of opportunity for parents and teens to get together, parents should do their best to be available when their teen does express a desire to talk or participate in family activities. Attending concerts, games, and other events with your teen communicates caring and lets you get to know more about your child and his or her friends in important ways. Don't feel guilty if you're a working parent. It is the many little things you do, making popcorn, playing cards, window shopping, that kids will remember. 5. Be a good role model. Young kids learn a lot about how to act by watching their parents. The younger they are, the more cues they take from you. Before you lash out or blow your top in front of your child, think about this: is that how you want your child to behave when angry? Be aware that you're constantly being watched by your kids. Studies have shown that children who hit usually have a role model for aggression at home. Model the traits you wish to see in your kids: respect, friendliness, honesty, kindness, tolerance. Exhibit unselfish behavior. Do things for other people without expecting a reward. Express thanks and offer compliments. Above all, treat your kids the way you expect other people to treat you. 6. Make communication a priority. You can't expect kids to do everything simply because you, as a parent, say so. They want and deserve explanations as much as adults do. If we don't take time to explain, kids will begin to wonder about our values and motives and whether they have any basis. Parents who reason with their kids allow them to understand and learn in a non-judgmental way. Make your expectations clear. If there is a problem, describe it, express your feelings, and invite your child to work on a solution with you. Be sure to include consequences. Make suggestions and offer choices. Be open to your child's suggestions as well. Negotiate. Kids who participate in decisions are more motivated to carry them out. 7. Be flexible and willing to adjust your parenting style. If you often feel let down by your child's behavior, perhaps you have unrealistic expectations. Parents who think in shoulds, for example, "My kid should be potty trained by now," might find it helpful to read up on the matter or to talk to other parents or child development specialists. Kids' environments have an effect on their behavior, so you might be able to change that behavior by changing the environment. If you find yourself constantly saying no to your 2-year-old, look for ways to alter your surroundings so that fewer things are off limits. This will cause less frustration for both of you. As your child changes, you'll gradually have to change your parenting style. Chances are, what works with your child now won't work as well in a year or two. Teens tend to look less to their parents and more to their peers for role models. But continue to provide guidance, encouragement, and appropriate discipline while allowing your teen to earn more independence. And seize every available moment to make a connection. 8. Show that your love is unconditional. As a parent, you're responsible for correcting and guiding your kids. But how you express your corrective guidance makes all the difference in how a child receives it. When you have to confront your child, avoid blaming, criticizing, or fault-finding, which undermines self-esteem and can lead to resentment. Instead, strive to nurture and encourage, even when disciplining your kids. Make sure they know that, although you want and expect better next time, your love is there no matter what. 9. Know your own needs and limitations as a parent. Face it, you are an imperfect parent. You have strengths and weaknesses as a family leader. Recognize your abilities. "I am loving and dedicated." Vow to work on your weaknesses. "I need to be more consistent with discipline." Try to have realistic expectations for yourself, your spouse, and your kids. You don't have to have all the answers. Be forgiving of yourself. And try to make parenting a manageable job. Focus on the areas that need the most attention, rather than trying to address everything all at once. Admit it when you're burned out. Take time out from parenting to do things that will make you happy as a person or as a couple. Focusing on your needs does not make you selfish. It simply means you care about your own well-being, which is another important value to model for your children. Learn the basic principles of healthy parenting, avoid mealtime battles, and encourage physical fitness. Raising a happy, healthy child is one of the most challenging jobs a parent can have, and also one of the most rewarding. Yet many of us don't approach parenting with the same focus we would use for a job. We may act on our gut reactions, or just use the same parenting techniques our own parents used, whether or not these were effective parenting skills. Parenting is one of the most researched areas in the field of social science. No matter what your parenting style, or what your parenting questions or concerns may be, from helping your child avoid becoming part of America's child obesity epidemic to dealing with behavior problems, experts can help. In his book, The 10 Basic Principles of Good Parenting, Lawrence Steinberg, Ph.D., provides tips and guidelines based on some 75 years of social science research. Follow them and you can avert all sorts of child behavior problems, he says. Good parenting helps foster empathy, honesty, self-reliance, self-control, kindness, cooperation, and cheerfulness, says Steinberg, a distinguished professor of psychology at Temple University in Philadelphia. It also promotes intellectual curiosity, motivation, and encourages a desire to achieve. Good parenting also helps protect children from developing anxiety, depression, eating disorders, antisocial behavior, and alcohol and drug abuse. What are the 10 principles of good parenting? 1. What you do matters. Whether it's your own health behaviors or the way you treat other people, your children are learning from what you do. This is one of the most important principles, Steinberg explains. What you do makes a difference. Don't just react on the spur of the moment. Ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish, and is this likely to produce that result? 2. You cannot be too loving. It is simply not possible to spoil a child with love, Steinberg writes. What we often think of as the product of spoiling a child is never the result of showing a child too much love. It is usually the consequence of giving a child things in place of love, things like leniency, lowered expectations, or material possessions. 3. Be involved in your child's life. Being an involved parent takes time and is hard work, and it often means rethinking and rearranging your priorities. It frequently means sacrificing what you want to do for what your child needs to do. Be there mentally as well as physically. Being involved does not mean doing a child's homework or correcting it. Homework is a tool for teachers to know whether the child is learning or not, Steinberg says. If you do the homework, you're not letting the teacher know what the child is learning. 4. Adapt your parenting to fit your child. Keep pace with your child's development. Your child is growing up. Consider how age is affecting the child's behavior. The same drive for independence that is making your 3-year-old say no all the time is what's motivating him to be toilet trained, writes Steinberg. The same intellectual growth spurt that is making your 13-year-old curious and inquisitive in the classroom also is making her argumentative at the dinner table. 5. Establish and set rules. If you don't manage your child's behavior when he is young, he will have a hard time learning how to manage himself when he is older and you aren't around. Any time of the day or night, you should always be able to answer these 3 questions. Where is my child? Who is with my child? What is my child doing? The rules your child has learned from you are going to shape the rules he applies to himself. But you can't micromanage your child, Steinberg notes. Once they're in middle school, you need to let the child do their own homework, make their own choices and not intervene. 6. Foster your child's independence. Setting limits helps your child develop a sense of self-control. Encouraging independence helps her develop a sense of self-direction. To be successful in life, she's going to need both. It's normal for children to push for autonomy, says Steinberg. Many parents mistakenly equate their child's independence with rebelliousness or disobedience. Children push for independence because it is part of human nature to want to feel in control rather than to feel controlled by someone else. 7. Be consistent. If your rules vary from day to day in an unpredictable fashion, or if you enforce them only intermittently, your child's misbehavior is your fault, not his. Your most important disciplinary tool is consistency. Identify your non-negotiables. The more your authority is based on wisdom and not on power, the less your child will challenge it. 8. Avoid harsh discipline. Parents should never hit a child, under any circumstances, Steinberg says. Children who are spanked, hit, or slapped are more prone to fighting with other children, he writes. They are more likely to be bullies and more likely to use aggression to solve disputes with others. There are many other ways to discipline a child, including timeout, which work better and do not involve aggression. 9. Explain your rules and decisions. Good parents have expectations they want their child to live up to, he writes. Generally, parents over-explain to young children and under-explain to adolescents. What is obvious to you may not be evident to a 12-year-old. He doesn't have the priorities, judgment, or experience that you have. 10. Treat your child with respect. The best way to get respectful treatment from your child is to treat him respectfully, Steinberg writes. You should give your child the same courtesies you would give to anyone else. Speak to him politely. Respect his opinion. Pay attention when he is speaking to you. Treat him kindly. Try to please him when you can. Children treat others the way their parents treat them. Your relationship with your child is the foundation for her relationships with others. For example, if your child is a picky eater, I personally don't think parents should make a big deal about eating, Steinberg says. Children develop food preferences. They often go through them in stages. You don't want to turn mealtimes into unpleasant occasions. Just don't make the mistake of substituting unhealthy foods. If you don't keep junk food in the house, they won't eat it. Good news, there is no one right way to raise a child. Research tells us that to raise a self-reliant child with high self-esteem, it is more effective to be authoritative than authoritarian. You want your child to listen, respect and trust you, rather than fear you. You want to be supportive, but not a hovering, helicopter parent. All of these things are easy to set as goals, but hard to achieve. How do you find the right balance? As your child develops, the challenges will change and your thinking may evolve, but your approach should be consistent, firm, and loving. Help